top lane. So, you know, Clutch not always having the most cohesive drafts, and I'm really excited to see where FlyQuest takes us and if they have any sort of, you know, spicy counter picks or things that they want to try to mix up for us.
Well, we are into the picks already after bans. Azir is going to be the first one over on the side of FlyQuest as Damonte's picks are taken away. He did start to trend towards the Azir and a few other picks. So as FlyQuest ban out that mid Kiana, his most played, they'll take his Azir.
Very interesting to see Sona also actually being banned out here by Clutch. Really the only team that has played Sona bot lately in NA was TL, right? You know, it hasn't been very popular, and WildTurtle really wasn't one of the guys that had been playing a lot of Sona.
Right, you were changing it up that much.
Yeah, so perhaps this is something that is a little bit of scrim intel that they're worried about them bringing out. Certainly a fair bit of focus down towards that bottom lane, you know, taking away the Akali, perhaps there from Viper, but then also, you know, double bans down towards the bottom lane. Wadid and Turtle certainly have been good for FlyQuest and have been kind of one of those kind of carry threats.
There's the aggressive AD, but somehow Cody Sun always keeps himself alive in that great pickup for Lira. He loves the Skarner, one of his most played on that top of the list, and he knows he can get the initiation in on 6.
Yeah, and I think this is actually a really good first couple picks there for Clutch. Kaisa gives Cody Sun that late game scaling. I do think that they depend on that pretty heavily for their late game team fighting. Having a hyper scaling marksman, allowing Cody Sun to have the success there. GP gonna get locked in here for Huni, which has spelled a lot of success for them throughout playoffs. Certainly a champion he is very well known for, and he's gonna be going up against, you know, the Aatrox there for Viper.
With phase 1 over, I feel like FlyQuest as well has quite a nice team to go up against what wants to be an aggressive Clutch. FlyQuest can definitely fight back here, and we've seen them get quite scrappy before. Viper loves that playstyle. So does Pobelter in the mid lane.
Yeah, so the Tahm Kench pick here, you know, is I think something that is kind of falling down a fair bit in value. Like, we have been still seeing it get picked, but it hasn't really been winning a lot, especially in NA. You know, can be a pretty good answer to the Skarner.
Wow.
Not a lot of other kind of CC out there just yet to actually be grabbing people out of, but Clutch is going to be focusing on Turtle. They already have their marksman. Zai was banned out by FlyQuest phase 1, so they're going to throw 2 more marksman bans down towards Turtle and see if they can kind of push him down the priority list a bit. But I feel like Sivir is still a pretty easy, obvious pick there for FlyQuest. That is up and available, but would give FlyQuest like a very late game comp and perhaps not going to give them very much pressure in the early stages. Whereas FlyQuest is really just kind of focusing on Vulcan, trying to deny some of the ability for him to draft engage. He has really liked the Alistar, but Alistar does struggle quite a bit into Tahm Kench oftentimes. So they have kind of pre-denied that almost with their pick.
Braum all the way down his selection list. That's one of the least played for Vulcan. Definitely still one with the training wheels. You put them on, take them off. Braum's an easy one to get in there and defend this AD you need to defend. FlyQuest looking at what Turtle has been pushed down here for that marksman position. Jinx would be absolutely awesome. You love it. You saw this back at Worlds. Was it AHQ if they played the Jinx and the Tahm Kench in the bot lane, spit him out on the chompers. You basically have a first blood.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw some Jinx actually in spring when people were going back towards, you know, these hyperscaling compositions. It had been kind of one of the styles that we'd seen some of these teams bring out. You know, notably Echo Fox kind of decided they were going to go all late game in spring and started to pick up a lot of wins with that. Teams really did move away from it in summer, but we are going to have tons of scaling here on the side of FlyQuest. So I do think that the pressure is somewhat on for Clutch to be making things happen in the earlier stages when you're looking at Sejuani, Azir, and Jinx.
No, FlyQuest definitely, like you said, wanting to take it to that late game. I think they want to almost kind of look at the first few pitches, if you will, as a baseball term from Clutch. Say how aggressive they want to be, how hard are they coming into this one? Because, like we said before as well, FlyQuest has had a lot of time to plan things out and see which direction they may want to take this game, and that could give them a bit of a lead over Clutch to start.
Every click,
every frame,
every press,
every sound.
They're playing aggressive.
I'll take mid. Every advantage.
When the difference
Between winning and losing
is measured in milliseconds.
Everything. Everything.
Everything counts.
The Alienware Legendary Battle Station.
Everything mattering in this series here as we start the regional qualifier. It's FlyQuest versus Clutch Gaming now head-to-head in the series, and we'll see what FlyQuest has prepared here for Clutch. Coming off that loss in the finals, in the playoffs of the regular season, they are very, very hungry to make sure they get that final spot, the third spot to Worlds.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, Clutch, was pretty outspoken about the fact that they were a little bit cocky, in that third place match, that they felt like they were the best team there, that world spot should be theirs. And now they have their opportunity to prove it here today. And they are going to have that Huni GP, which does give them a lot of scaling. Kaisa scales very well as also here for Clutch, but always in the back of your mind, you've got to be so worried about Jinx, Azir, Sejuani, that core 3 with Tahm, Kench to keep them safe. Even double lethal tempo here, for these carries is going to make them put out tremendous amounts of damage late in the game.
And as we get started with this series, we did talk to WildTurtle earlier, and he shared his thoughts on taking down Clutch Gaming.
I would say they're fine on other champions, but they're just really good on certain champions, which is the Kiana, the Rumble. I think they're just really good on as a team. They really understand how these champions work, and I think that's what makes them so strong on these champions. And I do think if we take them off these champions, I think they'll be an average Clutch team.
And we'll have to see if that average Clutch team is good enough to take down FlyQuest, because in the regular season, Clutch was actually 8-0 against non-playoff teams, and FlyQuest was one of those non-playoff teams. Right. They did not actually, have a strong summer split. So, we will see how Clutch is going to look for here today. I mean, they have scaling in top lane, they have scaling in bottom lane. Syndra to me is going to be kind of more of that X factor as far as the earlier game threat. And I would like to see Lira and Damonte playing around the fact that Damonte should have some priority in this mid lane in the early stages.
I'm talking a little bit about how much Clutch Gaming as well feels like they need this. As you said, they were a bit cocky. Coming from the side of FlyQuest, they need to be super invigorated here. I know a few weeks ago we talked to them in interviews, and playoffs aren't even in our looks. Regional qualifiers not our looks, but those championship points from spring made them realize we actually have a really good shot here. We have to train up, we have to get better, and we're still looking to see now in this series if those 2 weeks came to play. We're starting off early, and we haven't had too much funny business within the jungle, so nobody's going to try and set the mark right off the bat.
I mean, they've had a good month just focusing purely on this gauntlet, right? And they've had the ability to actually sit back and watch from home and watch all these best of fives that the other teams are playing, study up, study the picks, try to kind of learn from some of the failures of the other teams against Clutch, right? We saw, TSM struggle so heavily against the Rumble and Kiana, and FlyQuest obviously doing their research, going to be banning that out in game number 1 today.
Viper taking a bit of damage, but he's a pretty good farm spot for the top lane so far. That CS is about to be picked up as it goes under the turret. Everybody else is looking pretty calm here in their CS. The Scuttles are going to be spawning quite soon. We got a Cloud Drake to start things off. If they want to go zoom around the map, we can get that started off here.
Yeah, and this is just really about how much of the CS can actually Viper pick up, and you're seeing that Huni's actually holding his Q. He only wants to use it on Viper. He's last hitting purely with auto attacks there, and just trying to keep it in a position where he's going to be harassing Viper enough to deny that CS and keep Aatrox in a spot where Aatrox can never actually threaten the all-in. Because without the threat of the all-in, Aatrox can't actually win the lane, right? GP is going to passively poke you down, so you have to be able to threaten that 100-0, and when you're at this sort of low health, you can't really go for it.
And this lane is expected to go against you as Viper. You come in with that mentality, Huni is a player that can usually have some tricks up his sleeve, so you already have to play with that kind of on your mind. Doing great so far to pick up the first bit of CS, and like you said, he can't go all in now. He knows he's going to be able to be the Aatrox his team needs later, and that's what's important for Viper right now.
Yeah, definitely the case. I mean, Aatrox, even if you don't win lane, certainly can be a really strong kind of pseudo frontliner, right? And
we've seen the memes.
Yeah, exactly. Up there alongside the Sejuani. Yeah. Especially when you start getting those resets, the amount of self-healing you have is pretty enormous, and that can kind of make up for the fact that you're not actually building as a pure tank, and keep you pretty healthy up in that front line. But you do have to worry about if the GP gets too free of a lane, because if Huni is just free farming and getting to actually scale up, Huni is going to hit 6. You're going to see nonstop plays on the opposite side of the map where he's just ulting on cooldown, farming his lane. And Aatrox needs to actually physically be at the fight to have more of an impact, right? Whereas, if Damonte's pushing out and you have Lira, Damonte roaming bot with his GP ult, that's very hard for FlyQuest to sometimes respond to.
So how much do we see Santorin going top? Do you actually put pressure on that? Obviously, you want to kind of give him some CS relief, but do you go for the kills on Huni and over and over again?
I think, it really just depends on if they can kind of sneak around any of these wards, right? If Huni actually has Viper very low and has vision of the Sejuani, it's not going to work. But it is concerning when Viper is actually falling this far behind, because he's actually, not collecting a huge amount of this farm. Down 14 CS already at 5 minutes is actually quite a big deal, and he's going to be forced to TP. Huni could actually save his TP even if he wanted and just kind of run it back to base. But we will see where Santorin likes to go. You have to remember that the Sejuani actual stun, can be oranged out by this GP. So
is negated.
It kind of has to be layered crowd control. Like you hit him with the Infernal Chains, and then you're hitting him with the stun and the knock up from the Q, right? If you can pull off that, you can certainly run down that GP, but it does get tough.
Huni staying for a bit of extra gold. Does he TP? Does he walk back? Looks like he'll be able to get that long walk in with the teleport coming back from Viper. And he grabs the Sheen. He says, I'm going to make it hurt a little bit more to the Kindle Gem you've grabbed for health and cooldown in your abilities. Viper will go to ward to make sure he can stay safe, because that is going to be a tough lane. Jungler sweeping down towards that bottom side of the map as they try to keep mid lane safe for the time being.
Yeah, Huni was running back, but decided he wanted that CS too badly. He TP'd halfway, but they're going for Damonte now.
He gets himself to safety. Scat of the Week is back. 3 in mid lane there as Viper kind of trailed down after his ward. A red ward, or a vision ward placed down by the red buff. So they'll have good vision onto where Lira is going to be as he starts to get towards that level 6. Huni has hit 6.
Yeah, he's already
Holy
6.
moly.
Viper 6 as well. So certainly, getting those ultimates online very, very big. And I do like the roam from Viper. You already have the wave pushed up. It's going to come back towards you, so take that time. You're not going to be able to harass GP under turret as the Aatrox, really. So go get a ward, threaten towards mid lane. And Santorin is able to effectively trade his flash with Damonte, which means if you come back for a repeat gank, Pobelter can flash ult in, on Damonte, and you have the Sejuani ult to actually follow that up. So you can actually scoop him back in with that, Azir shuffle right into a Sejuani ultimate, which should be a kill on Damonte. So we'll see if FlyQuest is going to be able to actually play around that timing window, because Santorin should have 6 before Damonte gets his flashback.
Damonte still on the Syndra, always picking a champion where he can turn around a tight situation, right? We'll see if he can unleash the power before he does get hit, but you're right. They have done everything to make his job that much harder on the side of Clutch Gaming's mid lane. See this push in here from Wadid and Turtle on the bot side. This FlyQuest bot lane was expected to kind of get pushed around a little bit or go even as well with Cody Sun and Vulcan the way they've been playing, but banning out so many things to the bot lane here has seemed to make Turtle and Wadid very comfortable in the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Jinx is looking great this far. And anytime Jinx can farm even, you're feeling quite good. He got actually the BF buy on his first back, which is always kind of that dream for the Jinx players. You really want to be able to grab that. And you have more power now as a result. Cody Sun very likely going to be going that kind of tier build. I would assume that is very, very popular these days, and grabbing the pickaxe early on for that. You can just rush Rageblade, but it does generally seem like people want to go for that Muramana.
Slow movement around the map and not a lot of love from the junglers just yet. The flash is about halfway up for Damonte as they get more vision on the first Cloud Drake of the game. A nice ward placed here in mid lane continues to see FlyQuest as they creep in and out of the jungle. There's an ultimate going down onto Pobelter. Damonte just over the wall, doesn't get enough room down or orbs to really make that play happen. Clutch is actually using quite a bit of resources as they continue the fight. That spear or that missile almost hitting for Cody Sun to get that killer instinct in at level 6, and FlyQuest will be able to get out after causing a bit of trouble in the side of Clutch's jungle.
Yeah, a little bit disjointed there, though, from Clutch. They're actually dropping the Skarner ultimate, but Damonte is not able to actually get over in time to follow up with his ultimate. Perhaps if you're going to actually commit the GP ult, it should be over the Skarner ulted Azir, so he's locked in, that slowed down, buy more time for Damonte to get over there to actually follow up. But, it seemed like there was some hesitation on it, and then they make the call to go for the play, but Wadid is there to shut it down. So, the first GP ult is actually expended, first Skarner ult is expended, and they got nothing.
Kind of seem like both teams shaking off the cobwebs for the fight. A little slow for FlyQuest to get up from the bot lane. Clutch doing a bit of zaniness to their own play. As we see Huni getting attacked here in top lane. A frontal change just missing as Huni makes it out of that area of effect. He'll clean up CS. 83 to 74. Viper still holding on the top side. He can get quite a bit now in the next wave here. Caulfield's and his Kindle Gem means he's going to be finishing up his item quite quick. And he'll be able to put that damage back down into Huni, and that lane should change a little bit.
Yeah, grabbing that early CDR always going to feel really good here for the Aatrox, but something we've been seeing more and more of. It used to always be so rare to actually see Executioners, and I've always been such a big kind of fan of the item. I think it's so incredibly efficient. And these days, we're actually seeing it a lot now in NALCS. It feels like people really finally have realized just how damn good this item is, and it's getting rushed in a ton of games against Aatrox. Here again, Huni's actually going for that early on, so that is going to shut down a lot of the power. But here is kind of the standard clutch play. We saw this all throughout playoffs, 10, 11 minutes. They're up towards the Rift Herald. They're going to look to take this on the lane swap, and we'll see if FlyQuest has done their homework, because they should know this is coming, and they are moving up to the area, but all 5 members here for Clutch.
They're ready for the fight. A lot of damage onto Wadid. He goes down into the stopwatch right quick. Vulcan now surrounds the top lane with the rest of Clutch. Viper's going to go down quite quick on this one, with the rest of FlyQuest trying to come in and deliver the damage. Cody Sun almost going down. He's the one that stays alive. There's going to be a double kill for Turtle. Can he come in with another one? No, he cannot, as Clutch is running for the hills, and FlyQuest does remember the 10-minute mark as Rift Herald for Clutch.
Yeah, they show up right on time there, and Wadid bought so much time with his stopwatch. They actually go for this Tahm Kench, pretty tanky champion there, dumping a lot of damage into him. They get him very low. Stopwatch comes through. Then they're swapping over onto Viper, but Viper is actually able to get devoured by Wadid, and that support play there really bought so much space for WildTurtle, so much space for Pobelter. So Clutch, kind of committing to the wrong members there and getting punished so heavily because of it. Wadid basically solo won that fight.
Absolutely crazy the way it comes in. Now, it's still Rift Herald for the side of Clutch. They can direct the tempo a little bit with that, but a big fight. It was a good question, Azael. FlyQuest and the rest of the community has seen the 10-minute Herald. Will they respond? And it seems like they did their homework.
Yeah, they definitely did, and it was actually pretty close margins, right?
Yes.
They were almost not there in time. They did get up there, but certainly, possibility of getting something good with that Rift Herald. But you'll take those 2 kills on your Jinx with the first blood anytime, right? This is such a strong champion.
They're doing more damage in the bot lane with 2 when they had a wave there than 3 in the top side here for Clutch. They're also going to be able to grab that Drake. Ocean is next, so you might see a little bit more love for that from both teams. And it should be that first turret on the bot side. They're trying to focus it. Get back to it. Oh! They waited on the wave a little too long there. They are going to be able to get it as Turtle was cleaning up more. Didn't have that damage as well from Vulcan. So first turret's not a terrible thing. Clutch still has that Rift Herald to use, or to lose, I should say. And Clutch still have that Rift Herald to use.
Yep, and Turtle, though, the difference here is that all the gold went to him, right? Because he is actually getting this solo play gold and everything. So he's actually like 1,400 ahead of his lane opponent. Now Clutch will actually drop the Rift mid, which I do like. They're going to cash in on these plates. Going to get that point-blank charge there. So they got only... Did they get 2? It looked like they only got 1. Now they'll get that second one down.
Plate, yes.
But I don't think anyone was actually in range for that plate gold right there. No one actually tagged the turret. So as they backed off, that last swipe on the tower there got that plate. So they actually missed out, unfortunately, for them on the gold there. So, not actually going to get that reward. But the gold, very, very close. Certainly, FlyQuest, I think, has it more where they want it, with the IE already completed here for Turtle. He's already got his Zerker Greaves, working towards the Zeal item. And, this is a very clear win condition here for FlyQuest. Is just going to be play around Turtle, right? Like, he is way ahead, and he is really, really strong.
It feels good as well as a Jinx. Turtle knows the power he has at this point in the game with 2 kills. No one else on the map even has that, so he's rolling the gold right now. And you can do things like this. You can get in the hair of Lira and just play around with her jungle, stealing most of the Raptors. That will make Skarner unhappy.
Yeah, it definitely will. And I mean, it's difficult because normally, when you're running a team comp like Clutch, you can at least kind of have solace in the fact that Jinx is going to have to build a QSS and these sorts of things. But with Tahm Kench, you often don't really have to do that. Tahm Kench can kind of act as your defensive itemization. So you can skip things like the QSS, rush straight towards damage, and really maximize the gold you have in just straight up damage output.
It seems like FlyQuest does have a decent hold on the early game. The gold a bit in their favor here. The wards are going down well to keep themselves kind of in the pace lead here. They're the ones with their pedal to the metal. So can they continue that mid lane? Do they drop a few of these turrets and they're able to push more wards forward like they did to harass Lira at Raptors? Seems like they definitely are able to put a lot more things on their plate than being one-dimensional to what they need to grab, then back to the map to figure out another thing.
Yeah, definitely trying to kind of check all those boxes at once, and just looking back towards that top lane, Viper, I think, has done a fairly good job. Did fall decently behind in those early stages, but once he had a bit more CDR, a couple more levels, he has really started to kind of swing that matchup back to having a little bit of pressure for himself. Huni obviously going to be feeling pretty comfortable about the fact that he's already on his Triforce, has the Executioners, so certainly he is good to go, and I want to see Clutch making plays on the other side of the map.
Damonte gets shoved back. I don't know how much more Pobelter wants that until Santorin arrives. They're able to get the stun down onto Damonte. Oh, they're going to miss the ultimate.
Is Pobelter going to die to minions?
Prison just misses. Pobelter dies the minions. I was actually trying to figure out if he got stuck, if he could get out. Santorin was trying to fight Damonte by himself, and Damonte still walking out of this one. A bit scattered here by FlyQuest, as Lira may still want a piece of it, but the rest of the team is focusing on the mid lane. Abyssal Voyage there to try and save it from this disaster.
I actually can't believe that worked out as well as it did. It's just the 1-for-1, and they get the shutdown there actually onto Damonte. I believe he had a CS bounty, but still pretty damn good for Clutch. Damonte playing that very well, got so much damage down on Pobelter that Huni actually, essentially pinned him into the corner with the GP ultimate. So he actually had all the minions aggroed on him, and the minions are killing him, but to run away from the minions, he had to run through the GP ultimate.
Feels bad, man.
No way out from that one, and does actually go down. Plus, Huni now gets a turret on the bottom side, and they got mid lane damage, so that FlyQuest attempted play ends up being a positive one there for Clutch. So here is the initial play. Key to note, Damonte is level 11, so he had rank 2 of the ultimate. GP ult gets actually dropped. The minions are in the brush, so they have aggro on Pobelter. Pobelter, really had no way to run out. He realizes he's going to die to the minions, so he tries to go back to the GP ult, but Lira was coming around from the top side. Maybe he could have tried to run to the river towards Wadid or something, but he gets corralled, does get taken down.
A big back and forth, and 3-1 as we take a look at the scoreboard here. Gold's in favor of Clutch Gaming with all the objectives they've been able to take in turrets. And we're going to have that Ocean Drake coming up soon. You can see everybody hovering towards that bottom side of the map. Infinity Edge finished up with the man immune on the side of Cody Sun. So a little item discrepancy there as Cody tries to put a bit more damage under his belt. Still doing good, especially with that passive plasma proc that Kaisa gets.
Yeah, definitely the case. And there's a fair bit of CC, in the rest of the team with the Skarner stun, the Skarner ultimate, Braum passive stun, Scatter the Weak. Those are all going to give you stacks of the plasma, which is actually increasing your passive damage. So that is pretty important. And you can see Huni kind of looking to try to set up barrels around this area. I think both teams would like the Ocean Dragon, but aren't necessarily going to be willing to just full on throw themselves at it. So it's going to be about mid lane priority first. You have to be able to kind of push out the mid lane wave and then go to the Dragon. And that's exactly what FlyQuest does here. They are going to be starting this up, so we'll see if Clutch is actually going to be willing to fight this.
Already feels interesting. If you're going to get Lira to pull somebody, he has to go through the team. He routes all the way around. They want the resulting fight. They have FlyQuest pinched into the pit. Everybody's able to dodge the cannon barrage for now. Viper gets himself out, and you can see Predator just about to wear off here as Lira's on the other side of the wall. Who does he grab back into team? Santorin, no! Great prison right to the kisser. And Lira's pushed off of that one. Clutch Gaming taking a little too long to react.
Yeah, not willing to fully commit in, so it does actually buy enough time for FlyQuest to actually retreat. And it doesn't even cost them a summoner. No one had to flash out. They retreated down with the champions that actually couldn't get over the wall. Viper, Santorin, Pobelter all dash over the wall, so they do get out. And Lira trying to go for a kind of cute little flank there, but Santorin shut that down completely with a very quick ultimate coming out and just denying that Skarner grab.
Those are the kind of plays you need to remember that can still happen, I should say. Clutch is the team that will keep biting until they get a little bit. There it would have been Lira's Impale that brings back one of the members, but I think Clutch might get a little bit more desperate in these engages. I think they've thought FlyQuest would play it slower, and now FlyQuest is actually taking a lot of control over the game, and Clutch is saying, hey, we need to pick it up.
Yeah, definitely the case. But at least for Clutch, they have been good at actually getting towers back, right? So, they are kind of punching back in that way. When FlyQuest made the play topside, they got a bottom turret. When they get the Dragon here, Yes, they do all escape, but they lose the mid lane turret. So,
Yeah.
they are at a gold lead because of that kind of objective-based play. And you could see that 14-4 all-time record that did pop up for WildTurtle on the Jinx way back to the TSM days, way back. He has been playing this champion for so long, and certainly has had a very successful career on it. Always been really, really good, I think, at those hyperscaling champions. When you get to late game, Turtle was always a guy who is a threat to take over, and FlyQuest is going to be hoping that he can pull off some of that magic here today.
I think it's one of the things that actually allowed FlyQuest to do everything they did in the spring, found a little bit towards the end of the summer, is have carry potential all around. We saw that even from Academy, Viper was able to carry some of the games by himself. You get that carry out of WildTurtle. Wadid brought a bit back to that love, and you'll always get it out of Santorin from his jungle. There's a Glacial Prison onto Vulcan. Lira says he wants a little bit more here, and now they could get turned around. They want to grab the Tahm, Kench, and Santorin makes it out alive, and that's how you save the VIP. Wadid going down, however, as the fights continue in the mid lane as teams break the map open.
Yeah, that was just a really good unbreakable there from Vulcan. Actually, timed that well, had the E up when he gets hit by the ultimate. FlyQuest decided to commit to it regardless, but that is so much damage reduction on that Braum E. 35% damage reduction on that, as well as actually, blocking the first spell. So very hard to burst through that when he has Guardian, when he has heal. And FlyQuest, as a result, actually turned around on there. And if it wasn't for a great save from Wadid, they would have lost Santorin too.
Clutch taking control of map vision just after that play. Vulcan and the team wasting no time to put down that security line. Cody Sun's able to push up here by himself and get some free farm even just across that mid lane. You can see Huni backing here, and we'll see what the team provides now from inventories once they get back on the map. An Infinity Edge for Huni right after that Triforce already. This guy is rolling in the dough.
Yeah, this is, very much kind of a team fight focused item. A lot of people are actually going Essence Reaver these days, more kind of for the side lane. You have 40% CDR, you can ult your team nonstop. But what IE always is going to give you is if you actually hit that crit barrel in a team fight, that can actually decide the game, right? One crit barrel on someone like the Azir, and he's out of the fight. So there always is that threat, especially when you're combining that with someone like the Syndra. If you have a barrel chain plus a Syndra ultimate, you can be dead from full. So, Clutch certainly looking to kind of build towards that team fight.
And that's why I think Clutch is such a volatile team to play against, because they have these instances where Huni is on the Gangplank with that item, or Damonte is able to crush on Kiana. It's very hard to get away from that aspect of Clutch gaming, where they'll have a moment of just the ability to take over the game. We'll see if Huni can start to provide that now.
And it's one of those X Factor champions, right? That is why they have been so good with these champions. Huni's GP certainly is really well known as a terrifying champion, and they are 7-1 with the Kiana GP and Rumble in playoffs, and this is kind of one of those big champions. But you can't always ban them all, right? That is the tough part. You can't actually shut down Cody Sun in bans while banning out all the pocket picks, and also taking in consideration some of the OPs. People are often very worried about Yuumi and Akali. You can see Damonte here setting up on the side, stacking the orbs for a potential engage here with that ultimate. We'll see if they're going to actually go for it.
Ooh, they spot a few below them. Now they know they need to move, huh? Damonte loses those orbs, so the extra damage isn't there. Scatter goes out, as Cody Sun throws down a little bit of that poke damage from the Seeker missile as well. Damonte slowed. Who wants it? Cannon Barrage comes out, as that might deter FlyQuest just a little bit. Can they get onto Viper? Yes, they do. They take him down immediately. That's a kill for Cody Sun.
Yeah, and that should be the Infernal, right? Right for Clutch. You can see that Skarner's already in the pit. FlyQuest is trying to pull him off the Infernal by threatening the Baron, though. This is a very interesting call, but they can actually have Lira solo this while their 4-man squad goes up, and FlyQuest cannot do this in their face, so they're now trying to actually set up for the turn. They're looking for a pick.
They might know he's down there. Another block on that Glacial Prison. Vulcan's able to stand back with his team and a quick W ability, and that's Infernal. What a game of cat and mouse played by both of these teams.
Yeah, that was actually really well handled by both teams. I do think once you're in that 45 for FlyQuest, the only chance of getting them off the Infernal is threatening a Baron. But Clutch also didn't just walk in blind. They used barrels to check. They have the Braum in the front to absorb the Sejuani ultimate. So, both teams actually playing that out very well. But with the initial kill going to Clutch, they're the ones who claim that big prize. It will be Infernal going their way. This is a lot of damage dealers going to be stacking up that additional ADAP here.
Awesome to see a neck-and-neck first game, and both teams trying to do things in the moment. Not coming out of base and then setting up wards there. FlyQuest tries to go to Baron. Clutch has to figure out a way to instantly stop it, and now they begin to test each other just about 25 minutes in. Mid lane still up for Clutch. This is slowing down FlyQuest quite a bit from breaking out the rest of the jungle and getting wards through that forward part of the river. Clutch again sets up in that river, starting to clear wards and make sure FlyQuest can do none of that pushing forward.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the focus now for Clutch is going to be towards that top side of the map. They are going to want to deny vision in the Baron area. So it is really this fight around mid lane. And then once you get control of that mid lane, you are able to get access to the Baron area to sweep out these wards. And this is going to be kind of that push and pull here for these two teams. Whoever has mid lane priority, you can see right now that is actually Clutch. When they push up here, they can then go over towards that Baron pit, you know, and get access in that area. So we will see if they can maintain that level of control, because without any vision for FlyQuest, it's going to be very, very difficult for them, you know, if they have to get into that sort of a face check type of situation when you're going up against Skarner and Syndra and these champions that can really lock you down and burst you out.
Absolutely, and that's why my eyes here are on WildTurtle, the most cash in the game at 11.4. It is 10.3 and 10.8 on Huni and Cody Sun, so you can see how much of a carry WildTurtle has to be for the team right now. A lot of big play champions to create some shock and awe on the side of FlyQuest, but if Turtle goes down, that spells bad things for the team. Still clearing it out in mid. They are just right at each other's faces, not even engaging, tempting each other left and right to see who has the better vision from Fog of War to start the fight, not just in their faces.
Yeah, and here again, FlyQuest, they fight for control of that mid lane. They get it, so now they can move back over to the Baron pit, get the vision back in this area. You know, they had no wards whatsoever in that Baron area until this moment, because that had been swept out there by Lira just about a minute before. So, you know, it is this back and forth fight. And you can hear Tahm Kench ultimate. They're actually going for Syndra. He's going to try to TP out of the bot lane.
Damonte, can he make it towards that top side? He makes it to the back turret, actually second tier bot lane. He gets himself out safely. Abyssal Voyage bot, and it looks like they will channel back towards the top side of the map. Turtle teleports in so they don't lose any ground, but again, a split decision in the moment to try and gain ground on the map.
Yeah, they actually used the Tahm Kench ultimate to get down to bot to kill Damonte, but he instantly teleported. That was very quick thinking to actually get out of what would have been certain death there. And actually manages to have a trade as WildTurtle gets tagged there. They're going to drop the ulti.
A nice grab onto Pobelter, so they take him down. Huni's already coming down from the top lane, and he is close for the pincer. Santorin just getting missed by that Seeker, but they're still going to get the killer instinct in from Cody Sun, and another kill for the marksman. 3-0-1 as he puts himself on top for that 350 gold bounty.
Yeah, they got that critical jungle kill, so this should actually be Baron going over to Clutch here, straight over to the Baron pit. They are going to take this down. No chance for FlyQuest to contest, and FlyQuest gets punished so heavily. They have not been able to find the engages, not been able to find the right team fights here. It seems like Vulcan is always the right place, right time to actually absorb the Sejuani ultimates.
Here it is
Here again, you know, Vulcan is the one to actually tank the Sejuani ultimate as they try to turn around this potential fight. You see him step in front of that, absorb it, so Lira can actually continue pulling Pobelter back into the tower. Then Cody Sun ulting forward, finishing off Santorin. And with that jungler down, they knew the Baron was theirs.
Ooh, that is tough. You kind of think that FlyQuest considered every situation in that window of Cannon Barrage being up is the last thing you forgot. And it has stopped so many engages right now for FlyQuest. It was one of the final champions the analyst has mentioned that needs to be taken away from Clutch Gaming, and we can see the impact it has, not even in the fight for the first few seconds. Pushing into mid lane now, 28 minutes. FlyQuest still very much in this game.
Yeah.
A few fights only put them on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, check out Turtle's farm, right? Like, he's over 40 CS ahead of that 10 CS per minute mark, so he is farming like a beast. He has a couple of kills, so he is still right up there in gold with Cody Sun, but you know, the problem is the pressure on the map. The problem is these other members who are going to be falling further and further behind.
Right.
As you can see, you know, Huni now kind of attaining that late game status. You know, Pobelter did make a pit stop for the Oblivion Orb before going towards his death cap, so he does not have a completed second item just yet. Whereas on the other side, Damonte certainly does, and Clutch is looking to push in here and potentially, you know, knock down some of these inhibitor towers.
Still have Baron for about 2 minutes left on their side. 2,700 gold power play so far. The Void Seeker from Cody Sun just allows him to figure out what's going on the other side of the wall. A little bit of warding placed out here by FlyQuest, so they're not missing anything. Every bit counts here as they get pushed into their base. Again, the Cannon Barrage comes down off of cooldown. to add pressure to FlyQuest. Again, make things a little bit harder as Clutch is able to beat down those turrets at the base.
Yeah, exactly. He's just trying to use it to actually zone out the FlyQuest members who are attempting to defend this. They know that Kaisa is pretty short range, so it can be difficult to siege turrets, so you use that Cannon Barrage to make them back off, then Kaisa can walk forward, get a couple autos in. It looks like this may be the end kind of that Baron push here, though, as Clutch is backing off, probably just going to take away some of the jungle, look to grab this Ocean Dragon on their way out, and they do get a pretty nice Red Bull Baron power play here. 2,700 gold is the advantage from that, but certainly not that killing blow done just yet, as FlyQuest does defend the inhibitor towers, and that is really the important thing for them.
Great composition put together as well. You see FlyQuest trying to get on the Clutch. Well, you have Vulcan's ultimate, right? You have Scatter the Weak to push everybody back. They're doing it in such a kind of method of the madness manner that FlyQuest cannot find a way through. They have to be almost all ultimates down for Clutch.
Yeah, and for FlyQuest, it really is, I think, just the scaling game, right? You're saying, hey, let's buy time. Let's wait for Pobelter to get more items. He now has that Death Cap gold. Will go back and actually complete that. So that is a huge buy for him there. But there's still a lot of room for this Azir to grow. The Jinx as well still has, an additional item and a half that you can actually grab up. So, FlyQuest, as long as they are not losing their base, I think are totally content to actually farm this one out. But Clutch has actually gotten the inner crack, and FlyQuest is just totally out of position here. They're going to lose the inhibitor tower in the trailing seconds after this reset. Just no one was mid lane. I think they all assumed that Clutch was going to try to take that outer tier 2.
Yeah, that's a hello. Thank you very much. A few question mark pings towards the mid lane, and the FlyQuest gets sorted there up towards the top side. So Clutch is feeling pretty good, pushing basically wherever they want in the map. Now, Huni's coming up with more items than he can really even fit in his inventory at this point, as he's had a great game on the top side. Seeing if it can still come out from a big play. Having Azir soldiers kind of get pushed around through all these fights hasn't given Pobelter or the rest of the team the chance to set up, get those 3 soldiers out, get the passive W speed, and really allow Azir to do work. It sounds like the worst of the case, but if they can get him pinched into the base, that last-ditch effort is really where FlyQuest team could do a shock and awe kind of engage.
Yeah, definitely the case. It hasn't been that kind of slow, steady front-to-back fight where Azir and Jinx, as you say, get the soldiers out, get the lethal tempo up for both.
It's always moving.
Exactly. It's been very back and forth. If anyone goes too far forward on FlyQuest, they actually get ulted in by the Skarner and pulled back away from those big damage dealers from FlyQuest. So, Clutch is actually trying to use the barrels to zone out the back line, when the fight is committed to. Huni will actually drop his ultimate on the back line to try to push them back. So they're utilizing all these kind of tools as zone control to just essentially slow down the Jinx and slow down the Azir. But Bloodthirster now complete here for WildTurtle. That is a really big buy and will mean that Poke is going to be shrugged off quite easily.
And maybe they won't get pushed around in the fight so much. They can keep pushing forward here, especially if he gets excited. A zap just missing there onto Lira as things get a little tense in the mid lane. Sun Disc is set up by Pobelter as they're able to set base back up a little further outside of that Nexus.
And they're going to be heading up towards this Baron area now. It's going to be about vision in that quadrant of the map once again here. 30 seconds until that does spawn. So Clutch are trying their best to actually clear out all of this area. But you can see Pobelter heading down to the bottom lane. He's going to try to push out bot. Huni is trying to push out top. So all these teams are actually trying to prepare for this inevitable mid lane fight, for this control, and trying to actually force their opponents to react to those side lanes so that they can then get control around Baron, then get the wards that they need, because FlyQuest knows they really cannot afford to just be giving up another Baron for free. They have got to hold on, and the longer you can deny Clutch from taking that Baron, the longer you have for Pobelter to keep farming it out and keep scaling up.
This Vision War is awesome, Azael. I love how many wards are being thrown down. And FlyQuest is almost playing it on the razor's edge here. No Quicksilver Sash except for Wadid. Wadid has to stand next to the player who Lira might be able to get so he can save them. Turtle doesn't even have one. They could be going for Baron.
Yeah, they're actually looking to burst it down.
Huni, he gets going to be taken down here as Baron does go down in the favor of Lira. Huni drops. Big plays here for Pobelter. This is when FlyQuest can get the fight to stand still, and they can start to do the damage. Cody Sun uses Killer Instinct to get himself out. And the Baron is still clutches. A bit of a pause button here put on FlyQuest. Void Seeker doing about half the HP of WildTurtle there as he had to flash throughout that fight. But Clutch still in control. They can dictate where the map goes here. So FlyQuest is definitely looking stronger in the fights.
Yeah, FlyQuest wins the fight, but it was actually Pobelter splitting bot lane. You can see Pobelter on the right side of your screen. He's actually TPing into the fight here now in center stage, but he arrives after the Baron has really already gone down. They are able to win the fight, but you know, if he had been there a little bit earlier, they could have perhaps prevented the Baron from going down altogether. And you know, Cody Sun, as you had called out, the amount of damage he's putting out now, Death Cap is completed, his Void Seeker did almost half of the health there of Turtle. Turtle now has the QSS. Morello's now completed for Pobelter, and it's going to be a fight around this next Infernal. FlyQuest looking to try to even up in that regard, grab an Infernal back for themselves, but the waves are going to be pushing so heavily in the favor of Clutch due to that Baron buff, so FlyQuest is just trying to rush this down, and we'll see if they can escape.
Down towards the bottom again, Lira setting up the rinse and repeat. Almost a little deja vu as we saw that one coming back through. And they will take control of the bot side jungle here. Will FlyQuest walk back, or will they teleport back to the base? And it looks like they're going to take the safe route on that one with Santorin playing bodyguard until everybody's just about home.
Yeah, Santorin making me a little bit nervous there, recalling in the pit. He was on a pink ward, but if anyone checks there, he's separated from the team.
And then everybody tries to save him, and then uh-oh.
That's why you never help the cot guy. Just let him die.
It's so tough, though.
Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see that he doesn't get back to base. They are still hanging on, grabbing that Infernal. So, you know, Clutch certainly having a tough time actually, you know, closing this one out. This is their second Baron, but already, you know, there's only, you know, 120 left on this Baron, and they lost 2 of the buffs due to that initial fight. So they have not really gotten too much done here. They are now looking for Huni.
Good damage. He's going straight into the fight. He doesn't run away. He knows he's going down. Hopefully the team can do a little bit, but they're coming out of base. This is what FlyQuest needs to have happen as soon as they can at any point in the game. Continue small advantages. Turtle's going to push here with a bit of help. Looks like they'll stop knowing the base is in trouble.
Yeah, they may potentially lose their inhibitor, but Clutch doesn't actually want to commit to anything, knowing that they are down a man. And Viper is just going to keep pushing. So someone has actually got a base now from Clutch. So that Tahm Kench ultimate was fantastic. You can see the amount of pressure that Huni can actually put out, though. Even in that 1v2, he would have taken WildTurtle down. They had to use the defensive Devour to actually keep him safe. And it is now Cody Sun going back to base. So this is going to be the Baron power play expiring, and that is essentially a neutral power play there. You know, minus 30 gold really at this point, so certainly didn't get anything out of that one. FlyQuest ends up staying even in gold during that time and grabs the Infernal, so certainly very heavily in their advantage over this last couple of minutes. And you know, as Clutch now, you're kind of looking and thinking, all right, well, if Baron doesn't do it, what does? And you're having to then hope to be able to set up around this next Elder, which is going to be coming up in just under 3 minutes. But that is giving FlyQuest potentially the team fight that they now want.
Absolutely.
You know, you see Turtles on 6 items, and Pobelter still chugging along. You know, is going to be set up pretty well to succeed there.
Turtle actually just basically used a coupon. He had a Quicksilver Sash, and he was like, wait, Mercurial Scimitar's right there. Sale? Sweet. Put that in his pocket. And you had the Quicksilver Sash coming in for Santorin as well. So that fight at Baron that they did go to take really paid off for them with all those other return on investments that you said are starting to help. That, you know, they're able to stall out Clutch, and Clutch may be hitting a bit of a strategy wall now. We'll see if they're in the analysis by paralysis mode.
Yeah.
Overthinking it.
It's always going to come down to the playmaking, right? You know, can you actually get that Scout of the Week on the right member? You know, certainly there's still the potential here for Clutch to actually just instantly burst someone down and win a fight like that. But QSS is coming through on all the frontliners, so Lira's targets are becoming few and far between, right? It pretty much has to be Pobelter. He's the only one without a QSS, but are you really going to be able to get on him in the fight? That could be very difficult. You know, perhaps if you're able to stun him, then flash on him and get it. But he does have stopwatch. You know, and all 4 other members have a QSS. So, you know, Lira is going to be worth so much less than the Sejuani at this point in the game.
Void Seeker just missing. Vulcan taking quite a bit of damage, but he still has the Unbreakable to go up. Huni on the outside. He wants him to run right into them, but they're going to stay around the Sun Disc for now. Nice block as well onto the Glacial Prison. Not quite a bit is happening just yet. Wow, Cody Sun going all the way in when he's very low. He could take out WildTurtle. A 2v1 from Cody Sun. He knows he can keep himself alive. How does this KDA player keep making it happen? They get a stop on the Viper as he tries to come in around from the flank as well.
Oh, the
Lira
barrel.
could get himself out. Huni with barrels getting stacked up all over the place, and that's going to be Huni going down. Now the soldiers get to stand tall, and Pobelter comes out big on that one as another scrappy fight goes back and forth. Multiple considerations of leaving and re-entering the fight from both teams puts FlyQuest on top.
Yeah, FlyQuest actually hangs on. They only lose the one member, and Baron is going to spawn with Huni and Lira dead, so we'll see if Clutch is going to be willing to try to make that three-man defense here. Mind you, Turtle comes up sooner and has teleport, so FlyQuest really should have this Baron or the Elder, whichever they choose, pretty much for free as long as they're actually properly setting up for it. And Santorin is waiting over by that Baron pit, so they're going to go for it. TP is coming in. They will commit, but Clutch look like they want to contest this. Turtle's up now, though, so this could be 5 members here. FlyQuest gets only 3 from Clutch.
Viper trying to play
God.
the window in. FlyQuest backs against the wall since 20 minutes into the game, and now 20 minutes later, they're going to be the one taking the main objective on the map. Will it happen? Damonte could have a scatter of the week over the wall. Sets down the orb. He also has unleashed power to get some damage onto one of the members. That's going to be a smite from Santorin. And no go for Clutch. That's a Baron for FlyQuest.
Yeah, FlyQuest, that was actually really well done from Clutch. They did Void Seeker plus Scatter of the Week and that orb. You can see this fight breaking out. Lira was looking for the flash ultimate on Pobelter that I talked about before. That was really the only target he had. He's not able to get it, but then Cody Sun, I have to give so much respect for his kind of calculation in this fight. You know, he actually held the zonies all the way through the exhaust. I thought as soon as he got exhausted, he would have actually popped that. Clutch is now going to grab the Elder, so they have the Elder burn. They are stronger than FlyQuest right now.
Up and to the left. That's the way all of FlyQuest needs to go. They don't even have a minion wave to hit that second tier turret, so they're going to back as a party. And man, did they just do a whole hell of a lot of damage to Clutch's side of the map.
Yeah, this is actually turning into a pretty insane game here. 41 minutes in, really could go either way. Pobelter has finally caught up completely in itemization. You know, he had been thousands of gold behind Damonte for a lot of the mid-game stage. Now he is essentially full build here, has the stopwatch as that extra item that will eventually become a Zhonya's, but you know, you now have reached late, right? You have that big front line, you have these 2 super carries, so it becomes much more difficult here for Clutch, and they're the ones who are going to kind of have to problem solve their way out of this.
Well, you need to be able to hold on to everything, especially if you're headed towards that world stage. You know, 4 members of FlyQuest, they've been there before. Feels pretty good. Wadid most recently, G2 in 2018, and WildTurtle having his time as well with Pobelter and Santorin on TSM in 2015. So for Viper to even learn from this squad in scenarios where they're put this far behind is going to be amazing for him as a player just coming out of Academy too. So FlyQuest definitely have that pedigree behind them to find the wins in these situations, I think.
Yeah, they have a tremendous amount of experience. That's why it is always hard to count them out, right? You know, in spring, certainly everyone had counted them out.
Absolutely,
and they did really show up and have an incredible performance throughout spring. And, you know, in summer, it had not yet come together, but that can all be erased from your memory if they're able to make this Gauntlet run.
For sure.
And get to Worlds. No one will care about that summer of the regular season.
I think that was their second, 4th place finish as the Org. We saw them do that with like High and Lemon and Balls when they came out, and then they had a bit of trouble. And then, yeah, again in the summer, they were able to find those wins, and now seem to have a little bit of that strength back. Wadid joined the team, a lot of things turned around, and we are seeing a bit of a different FlyQuest. Only the series will tell, though. It's only the first game, 8-6, 42.5 minutes in, and the pressure is on from FlyQuest. They've held tall here. That's what you need to see in a series.
And there is now this little window. Elder is expiring, you know, in 3 seconds. There's going to be about 1 wave here of the Baron buff. So this is where, if FlyQuest wants to go for it, you actually push aggressively and you look to siege for this tower. And that is exactly what they're trying to do, knowing they now have that global buff advantage. Turtle just walks straight up, hold as you like.
Oh, he got hit. Does he get the killer instinct on him? Cody Sun didn't want that one. He knows how to calculate the ins and outs. Again, hitting another Void Seeker. Turtle able to get that Bloodthirster shield up, so it's not starting to matter. That one's going to sting. As soon as the shield is down, the Void Seeker will stick until Turtle can get some minions. The team has been sharing everything that comes in, though, so they have to make sure he can get that sustained back. Bot lane is stopped out. Huni can now join back into the fight, and the Sun Disc is doing a whole hell of a lot of work. So FlyQuest can keep the pressure on. Sundis drops, so does FlyQuest. They head back.
Yep, Baron buff expires, Sundis goes down. They will head back to base here. Neither team able to actually deal that killing blow just yet. You know, and now we are facing a potential second Elder. You know, and that second Elder buff for Clutch is so insanely powerful. It's essentially double the burn. It lasts much longer. So that is going to be something heavily weighing on the minds of FlyQuest that, you know, even if it is a potential trade of objectives, if you actually trade the Baron for the Elder again, the Elder comes out heavily in favor on that second round. So, you know, FlyQuest is going to have to prioritize, you know, keeping that away from Clutch, which may allow Clutch to kind of get the benefit in how they want to actually play out some of these neutral objectives.
Oh, Pobelter not able to get that health back very quick as an Azir. He'll look to hold back for just a moment. Void Seeker after Void Seeker from Cody Sun. There's no reason for him to stop. As soon as it's on cooldown, throw another one out.
Yeah, and he has the Evolved W, which means anytime you hit a player, you actually get half the cooldown refunded, and it actually does an additional plasma stack. So it's the 3 stacks of plasma, half the cooldown as long as you're accurate. They're going for an engage.
That's the cannon barrage going down. Wadid tries to get Turtle. He flashes to safety. Lira's going in, but he gets pushed back. They don't find any target just yet. Vulcan gets himself jumped forward to a minion there as he gets himself to safety, but both teams have to go back on that. Wadid almost got caught window shopping on the back, but he stays alive with just 200 HP. He'll be back quick to the fight. We have Baron in 45 seconds, so that's a vision setup. Still a minute for Elder, but I think whatever happens at Baron is also going to happen at Elder.
Yeah, definitely the case. And key to note there, they got the flash off Turtle and Wadid, so it was actually Vulcan trading out his one summoner for both of those there. Yes, they did not get the kill, but that is still heavily in their favor. And now it gives the potential when all these flashes are up to actually try to dogpile onto Turtle and take him down. And we'll see if they're going to look for this engage. The minion wave, though, is actually pretty bad here in this bottom lane. So we're going to have to see Huni go back to base and actually fix this up pretty soon.
Fight could break out. My eyes are on Turtle, on Vulcan, but Damonte gets pushed back. A bit of a misplay here by Clutch as FlyQuest was always creeping down the right side of that. Great heals onto Damonte, but he's going down quick. Viper comes up with that kill, and now Clutch is running for the hills. Vulcan throws down the Glacial Fisher back, and Lira could be going down, but he stays alive with just a bit of shield. Cody Sun's now in a real bad spot. Sonya's not going to save him this time, and that's Turtle picking up the shutdown.
And that could be the game potentially here. They have minions in the bottom lane. We'll see if they want to try to end through bot here. I think they can do it. It's just Huni alive. They're going to try to go for at least a second inhibitor here. Clutch needs to kill these couple minions to actually have the backdoor protection, but minions coming in through mid as well, Riv.
Perseverance pays off for FlyQuest, and they could look to take game one here with great momentum. Cannon Barrage trying to stop the minions to bring that armor back to life on the turrets. It looks like they'll be able to deny a bit of this, and the game should go on.
Yeah, we'll see. FlyQuest, are they going to make the call to back off? Yeah, they don't want to risk it. There's 10 seconds here on Damonte, so they don't want to make the risky call and try to go for that Baron, because if you fail there, the game could just be ended on a counter push. Instead, they're going to try to set up for these neutral objectives. The Elder is up. They're actually going to make the call to go for the Baron, so they're TPing for that. But now potentially you're giving up that second Elder over to Clutch, so FlyQuest may have miscalculated a little bit here. Clutch is already starting this up. Cody Sun is spawning in too, and he could TP. They're sent to Santorin to try to steal this, but I don't know if they can even get in. That's second Elder going to Clutch.
Not gonna try it. Turtle tried to go for the steal. He has the historic mark for it, but not this time. It's usually on the Baron. Unfortunate there, but very fortunate for the side of Clutch. They have picked up a very big buff for themselves in the second Elder.
Just look at the duration on the Elder. That second Elder is going to outlast the Baron quite a bit and add a tremendous amount of damage. So now FlyQuest really don't get much of an opportunity to do anything with their Baron buff, because if you push out on the map and you get engaged upon, you're very likely going to lose the fight. There's no flashes on really either team except for Huni here. But Clutch can just try to push down mid lane here as a quad, and Lira may be getting caught.
Lira, 1 stun, 2 stun, possible third, down below 200, he goes down. Pobelter soldiers able to take him out. And now the rest of the team just kind of repairs the situation, make sure FlyQuest can't get any more out of that as they themselves took a bit of damage. It is so touch and go right now, Azael, and it's not even the one fight is the game at this point, because everybody's either pulling off so well or starting it and just not fighting at all.
Yeah, you know, and Clutch just didn't have the members in position to actually kind of turn around that fight, right? You know,
Yeah.
they do lose their jungler, but they didn't actually have Huni there until later in the fight as he teleported in. Cody Sun wasn't in a position to actually follow up and knock down Santorin, who was fairly low. So, you know, Clutch playing it safe. They want to wait till Lira is up, which is giving FlyQuest this window to push up and try to make something happen here with the Baron buff. Viper's up on the top side, and they're looking for a potential triple hit, but look at that damage coming out from Damonte, who is going to have so much bonus damage. Remember, you know, doubling the stats, you're going to have the extra Infernal, essentially. You're going to have a huge burn there, too.
Coming up on 50 minutes in the game. To recap, it would be to say Clutch, it was Clutch's win. They had all but taken the Nexus as they made their way into the base, but weren't able to fully break the base. So do you say it was Clutch's almost win? FlyQuest really able to hold off towards that 25 to 30-minute mark and then push back ever so slowly to where we are now. Perseverance paying off greatly, even against the second Elder in the hands of Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to almost the longest game of the split type of territory. You know,
Absolutely.
we went, I think, just barely over 50 minutes was the longest that I can recall. So certainly we are getting up there, and both these teams hanging on very heavily. You know, I think to your point, it could have gone either way. Potentially, FlyQuest could have ended on their push in that 4v3, 5v3.
Sure.
You know, Clutch certainly had their opportunities here as well, and the longest game right there, 51, right around where I remember it. So we are about to pass that here. I don't think we're going to end before that mark.
I don't think so either. Each team is a bit too tentative after losing HP, losing a member. They're able to gather the ranks and make sure the rest of the base does not fall down. It's just who can get the upper hand on the Great Initiation here. That's what we're looking for. Great Initiation of Regional Qualifier #1.
You got to remember, though, this Baron expiring in 20 seconds, and Clutch will still have about 1:30 on their double Elder here. So that is their window. They are actually content to just wait this out for the next little bit of time to then be able to kind of have that run of the map. And it is going to be FlyQuest going back to base as the Baron expires, looking to play defensive through this next minute and a half. And I want to see if Clutch can actually get something done here, because I think this is about as good as the power differential is going to get for them in this game. You know, if it's not a possibility to actually win a 5v5 at this point right now, then you're going to have to depend completely upon a pick or some sort of mistake from your opponents, because, you know, double Elder to no Baron is a huge advantage.
This also starts to become a lot of play-by-play's favorite parts of the game, because all the items are finished. You're basically getting the moment the player playing the champion, if they can play it to their best of their ability. It's no longer, he had a better item than me, this or that. It's how well can you throw down on that skill reel of QWER.
So I think it was actually Huni went back to base and bought a Zerat, and, you know, sold his item, bought a Zerat, placed it, sold the Zerat, bought his item back. So that is actually in that bottom lane now. You can see over, you know, by that bottom inhibitor for Clutch that is just pumping out minions. So that's actually going to push it towards their opponent. And this is something that only comes into play in the super late game scenarios, but can be, you know, something to give you a tiny little advantage.
Simple side steps here are thwarting initiations. And I love it. The make or break moments, the big brains where you try to get that extra play in. Not many, great hit up there by the Void Seekers. He needs to get himself back. There's not many times you actually get to see that buy and sell. You know, sometimes you hear teams saying, what should I be selling? What should I be buying again? If your GA's down, if you're even waiting sometimes for a Blade of the Rune King cooldown, and there is another option at that point.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes people will start actually swapping out the boots at this point in the game.
Yep.
You know, it's really just like, what are you prioritizing? Are you
Huni just did
prioritizing
it.
movement or actual pure damage? Yeah, so he's actually going to go for the 100% crit build here. Double Zeal, SMG for IE, so everything that Huni does will crit. So any barrel you get tagged by is going to hurt a lot. And it does have that static shiv for that additional damage there as well. We have not yet seen either of the ADs swap out, you know, anything in their builds. But I mean, Turtle's sitting on 7K, so he could do whatever he wants at this point. It's not necessarily always right to swap out actually your boots, because you want to be able to avoid seal shots sometimes. And sometimes you know, the movement speed is going to be more important there, but certainly is an opportunity at this point in the game now.
Spellbinder for Damonte, a little bit more punch to his abilities there. We can deliver them. Clearing out mid.
Elder's up, and they're actually just two-manning it right now with Viper and Pobelter. If we can get a look at that, you can see them actually just knocking this down. It's probably going to be gone before Clutch can even get there. So FlyQuest now going to get their first Elder of the game, and it just keeps going. Huni over the wall, though, with a huge barrel.
Split. One big barrel there onto Viper. That's going to be a scat of the week for the rest of the team. Cody Sun's on the back line. I'm looking at Viper. I'm looking at Pobelter. They're towards the bottom, trying to take down Huni right now. Everything's happening in the pit. Nobody really wants to be there. Huni goes down. Cody Sun's in once again. Will he have the Zanya to get himself to safety as well? WildTurtle gets popped right away. The shell is cracked. Santorin now has quite a bit of help, but the rest of the team is just falling down around him. So many fights back and forth, and it looks like Clutch Gaming will finally stand on top.
I think that's going to do it, Riv. Cody Sun diving into the back line, following up there. He's going to TP to mid lane to try to push out these minions. With Santorin going down, the res timers are way too long. This will be this long march to victory here for Clutch Gaming, and they should close out game number 1.
When you can't initiate with somebody that can get in there with a huge ultimate, why not have Cody Sun fly in every time? He finds the chaotic point of the fight and has the second entry every time for the team that the entirety of them can follow up on. Now they're on to the Nexus turrets. It might be 12-12 on the scoreboard, but it was a hell of a barn burner to start off this regional qualifier series, and Clutch Gaming will take game 1 over FlyQuest.
55 minutes, longest game of the split. Some heroics in that final fight. Huni diving in over the back of the wall, drawing a lot of pressure and kind of creating space there for Cody Sun to actually be able to fly in at the final fight. Cody Sun had actually sold out his boots for a Triforce in that final fight, so very, very late game itemization here. And Clutch do take it, but given that people were expecting this to be a very one-sided series, you look at the analyst test, both predicting 3-0s, making it sound pretty clear cut. FlyQuest certainly coming to play, and I think that Clutch showed they are not able to necessarily close out very effectively against this team, and the Jinx and the Azir really did, I think, work out in this very long game.
It's something that you really want to be able to figure out, especially in a best of 5 series, after seeing that this is a very even series. Like you said, a lot of people thought it were going one or the other way. Most people, the one way that Clutch would be taking it. But here, we now probably expect 30, 40-minute games, the games to be pushed again with that kind of prime champion select we thought would come from both teams. They still gave each other a run.
Yeah, the question to me now really becomes, do you start to kind of be shaken mentally after a game like this? Because a 55-minute game can be extremely draining. Are you tilted after losing that? Are you able to stay composed and say, hey, we still have a shot in this series? Let's stick to our practice.
We will have to see. For more on how game 1 played out, let's send it over.